the men's 800-meter run. And Wilson Kipketer is the world record holder, 141.11. And he is in the field here in Seville. Kipketer, who was born in Kenya, now represents Denmark, two-time defending world champion, and seems to be back in top form after battling malaria last year. And also in this heat is the American Cadivas Robinson from Santa Monica, California, and the current U.S. champion. At the World Indoor Championships in Japan this year, Robinson found himself the first two rounds with Kipketer and failed to make the final. So he's hoping for better things here. He has seemed to have learned to let Kipketer go on and to run his own race. He's in a tough lane. In lane 2, they'll run in lanes through this first turn.
And Tom, Cadivas Robinson had a terrible experience back on August 11th in Zurich. I was there. He was in this particular position on the inside lane, and he allowed himself to get boxed in. Other runners around him got along that rail, and he has a bunion problem. Hit the rail with his foot, and he fell, and he was out of the race.
Yeah, he told me earlier in the week he needs to learn to get good position no matter what lane he has. But he also said going by in 23 seconds is easy for him, but he pays for it at the end, so he needs to hold back the first 200, and he's doing that now.
As Wilson Kipketer moves out to take the lead. And also in this heat is the reigning Olympic champion, Gudrun Rodal of Norway.
Rodal was injured winning a race in Oslo last year, and he hasn't quite recovered from that. Cadivas Robinson has good speed the last 100 meters. He's at the back of the pack, but if he doesn't have to swing too wide, he might get one of those top 2 places.
Wilson Kipketer leads. It is Assane Diallo of Senegal second. Jose Serrero of Spain getting a lot of support from the crowd. Milton Brown also trying to move up, but Wilson Kipketer is controlling the race at the moment. Now, only the top 2 will automatically qualify. Tough qualifying in the 800. The top 2 plus the next 8 fastest to tomorrow's semifinals. Cadivas Robinson down to the back of the pack, trying to sprint home now. He's got to kick it in the straightaway. Kipketer continues to lead. They're in the straightaway in the final 80 meters or so. Kipketer is there. Cadivas Robinson is coming on the outside. He's trying to get up as they come to the line. It will be Ngidi following Kipketer, and Cadivas Robinson finishing 5th. Kipketer, though, leading start to finish.
Well, the thing that I see there is most of these runners, or all of them, allowed Wilson Kipketer to dictate the tempo. 54.23 at the first 400 meters. He was in charge of the race.
Each race, there are other runners who in a one-race situation can run very well. He's a little disappointed that there's only 3 rounds here and not 4, which would play to his strength.
Rich Kenah is in lane 8 to start this race. He'll be on the extreme outside. Also here is Kennedy Kimwetich, who is from Kenya and is in lane 1, a youngster who is new to the world stage.
Yeah, Tom, reportedly he did not start racing until last year when he ran 1:43.03. Another great story out of Kenya, and I tell you, as a past 800-meter runner, I'd like to have a body transplant with that guy and experience that.
You wouldn't be able to run very far after that, I don't think.
One time would be good enough.
Again, the 800 has a tough qualifying standard. Only the top 2 automatically move through, and then the next 8 fastest.
Fortunately for Kenah, he's out there in lane 8. He can really control his own destiny around the first turn, and when they cut in for the pole, he could go to the front, or he could go to the back, or just cut in anywhere along the back straightaway, anywhere into the pack.
They remain in lanes through this first turn.
His main competition probably is Kennedy in lane 1. Kiptimwich, he has to go out fast, or he's going to get boxed in.
And from South Africa, Lucky Hadebe goes to the front. Rich Kenah trying to hang with them there, parked outside a little bit, and now he'll move in and settle into about 6th position as Curtis Robb of Great Britain moves out to set the early pace. Hadebe is second on the outside, and Kimwetich on the inside is there in 3rd. And Rich Kenah is in that second group.
And Tom, many of the American team members came to Europe and ran and went back home to train. But Kenah is one of those that stayed in Switzerland, stayed over here to stay with the time zone so that he could be acclimated and come in and perform at his best.
And with 400 meters to go, Kenah has only 1 runner beaten. Curtis Robb continues to show the way with Kim Wedich right alongside. Those two are battling as they head down the back stretch.
You see from this overhead shot that Kanaa is trying to stay on the outside so that he can strike. He's spotting them all a few yards. He's going to wait, let everyone else make their one big move and hope to scoop up the first or second place in that last 50 yards.
Robb, Kim Wedich, and now it is Muta Kanawi that moves into second. And here comes Rich Kanaa. Kanaa now in third. And Kanaa on the outside trying to overhaul the leaders. The top two automatically move through. Rich Kanaa moving up on the outside and now challenging for the lead. And Rich Kanaa goes to the front. Kanaa with a big move down the home stretch is going to win his heat. Kanaa gets home first to move on to the next round.
Well, that's a smart race by Rich Kanaa. The tactics played right into his favor. He has great speed coming home, so he just laid back Barty and waited for that final kick.
Well, he did have some great tactics, and Kennedy Katimwich, his main competition, got the second qualifying spot. But look where Katimwich is right now. In third place, boxed in. He gets real fortunate as they come off the turn. The space opens up for him, and he has the wherewithal to get out and grab the second spot. Kanaa was not going to save anything, wasn't taking any chances. He ran right through the tape.
Rich Kanaa of the United States, impressive closing kick. And as Rich Kanaa heads on to the next round, he'll stop first and talk round of the men's 800 meters. And in this heat, Ezekiel Seping of South Africa, who won the silver medal at the Atlanta Olympics, the first black South African to win an Olympic medal.
This year, he did his training in Kenya with some of the great 800-meter runners there. The strange thing was people talked to him on the street in Swahili, and he didn't know what they were saying.
Seping is in lane 7 in this heat. And in lane 2, Nico Machaban of Germany, the finalist at the Olympics in '96. He finished 5th, computer expert from Germany.
I had a chance to talk with Nico Machaban about 10 days ago, and struggled with injury in 1998. He's had a good indoor. He said he's been struggling with his shape here in the outdoor season, and here in Seville he really does not know what to expect.
They're underway, and they'll hold their lanes until this turn, and then they'll break for the inside.
We're almost seeing two races here. The first one is to the first turn where everyone is establishing themselves, but then they all want to take a breather for the next 200 meters, and you see a little pushing and positioning, and then the big race starts when they enter the final turn, one lap from where they are right now. This is one of the first times we've really seen somebody go out and try and run the fast pace and just lead it from start to finish. He's committed now.
Jabir Saeed Gherni of Algeria has gone to the front in a big way and opened up some distance between himself and Ezekiel Seping, who is in second place with a lap to go.
Well, he turns in an honest split 51-10. That's going to make all the other runners begin to pick it up. They'll have to run more of an honest pace, particularly on this third 200.
Saeed Gherni continues to lead. Seping is in second. Ian Roberts of Guyana is third as they go down the back stretch. Again, only the top two automatically move through to the next round.
And then there are some qualifiers on time, and this will be probably the fastest race so far. So they might get 4 qualifiers out of this race.
Take 8 of the fastest losers into the next round. And Machaban of Germany now comes to the third spot behind Saeed Gherni and Seping. They're into the home straightaway. Saeed Gherni had the fast pace. He's trying to hold on. Seping moves on his outside. Machaban's not going to be able to catch them. Saeed Gherni will lead the race start to finish. Seping finishes second. Machaban is third. And the winning time, 1:45.65.
Seping did a good job of keeping his form and staying relaxed there, and Machaban fighting, trying to get up for the second position, not able to make it. But he may get in on time.
Saeed Gherni wins start to finish, 1:45.65 to move to the next round in the 800. And we still have more 800 first round action to come. Meters. In this heat is Brian Woodward, former NCAA champion from Georgetown University.
comes out in lane 8, just like his former teammate. And he's been winning races in Europe. His last 3 races he won. Unfortunately, they're really the B-level races. It wasn't the Zurichs and the Colognes. But he's been winning, so we know his finishing sprint should be up to par.
Jafeth Kimutai of Kenya is in this heat as well.
And Tom Kimutai was the man that ended Wilson Kipketer's 2-year run of winning at 800 meters in Zurich last year. He's run 1:42.98 already this season, and he is only 20 years old.
Ranked number 1 in the world last year. And as we said, Woodward is in that outside lane, lane 8. Kimutai right next door in lane 7.
Well, if you're smart, you grant this guy his place in the final. And if he's ahead of you in the final straightaway, you realize you're not going to catch him. If he's behind you, you realize he's going to catch you by the time you get to the finish line. So you better beat everybody else and realize he's going to be ahead of you.
Set on their way, and Brian Woodward in that outside lane has already seen another former Hoya, Rich Kenna, advance to the next round. He's trying to duplicate that.
He's going out very aggressively. When he hits the break point, we'll see if he goes to the rail slowly. It looks like he either wants to lead or he wants to be in second on somebody's shoulder.
Now, if Brian Woodward is smart, he'll stay right there on the outside of lane 1 and try and stay out of trouble.
Woodward in second place behind Dubé. Bobby Dubé of Botswana, coached by former U.S. men's coach Mel Rosen now, is the leader, with Woodward in second place and Kimutai in third. And after that, Whitemarsh of Canada's fourth.
Woodward needs to be aware right now of getting ready to make a move toward the outside and not get boxed in. He can't get too hung up on running the shortest distance and staying on that pole. He needs to guard his position.
Dubé leads. Woodward is second. Kimutai third. Whitmarsh is fourth.
And here's another race with an honest pace, 51.84. So again, those that are trying to get in on time will have a better chance from a heat like this than they will from the first.
As I said earlier, you got to remember that Kimutai is behind you, and plan for him passing you in the final 100.
In fact, there he goes. Kimutai now goes to the front, passing first Woodward and now Dubé to move to the lead as they come to the head of the straightaway. Kimutai's in front. Dubé holding on to second. Woodward is third. And coming on, Oriadnes of the Czech Republic in white. Kimutai, Woodward's in a battle for the second spot, and he will finish third and have to qualify on time, but this is fast enough, and he no doubt will advance to the next round to join his former teammate Rich Kenna.
Well, that was a fast race, and one of the ways you knew that was in the final straightaway. No one had any snap. They were just all moving at just about the same pace. No one was able to put in a big burst. As Lewis said, it was an honest pace, got everybody strung out. They were all tired in the home stretch.
And Kimutai on the outside there in the turn, staying relaxed and moving up slowly. And once he made the commitment to take the lead, he stayed with it. And Brian Woodward now moving to the outside, stays relaxed, gets the knees up, pumping the arms. Oravets fast enough to get in.
Yeah, Oravets just passing him there. But the time will be fast enough to get Woodward into the next round.
Well, you can see some of the competitors' eyes. They look up on the big screen to see how they're doing. But Woodward realized the most important thing for him to do, the way he could keep moving forward fastest, was to relax and keep his form.
Woodward will advance, and he's with Ernie Johnson. This is the semifinal round. Now, there are 3 semifinal heats. Don't ask, only in track and field can you have 3 semifinals, but that's what we have here in Seville, which means the top 2 plus the next 2 fastest runners will advance to Sunday's final. And in this first men's 800-meter heat is American Rich Kenna from Reston, Virginia, and he has a chance to move on and to make a little family history tonight. It's quite a night for the Kenna household. Rich tries to qualify for the 800 final, and then later this evening, his wife Sherry races in the 5,000-meter final.
I encourage her not to watch my race and to do her own thing, because it's fairly easy to get wrapped up in what the other one's doing. And we're lucky enough to both have good, solid coaches that we have had long-standing relationships with. And I think the place that we could run into trouble if we started to coach each other. I think that would be, I think that would spell the demise of our marriage.
So here's Rich Kenah ready to go in the men's 800-meter semifinals. Ezekiel Sepping of South Africa, the Olympic silver medalist, is in the field too. He's in lane 3, Kenah in lane 6. They'll race in lanes through this first turn and then break. And again, the top 2 automatically move through with the next 2 fastest runners overall.
Rich Kenah gets stronger as he goes through more rounds. He really looked great in winning his first race the other night. What he has is a lot of snap in his legs. When he wants to move, he can move quickly. He can punch out of holes, and he can vary the pace. Yesterday, he was very smart in making one move off the last turn, and this time he's in even better position.
He's in third on the outside there behind Adam Hassini of Algeria, who leads. Andrea Longo of Italy just alongside. Those 2 are the 2 leaders. Then Sepping and Kenah right after them. And also moving up is Kaldowski of Poland.
52 seconds for the first 400 meters. Rich Kenah, I think, thinks that he can beat anybody over the last 50 meters, so he's content to be very patient down the backstretch.
There's Para of Spain, who's being lifted by this crowd here in Seville. But right now it is Kaldowski of Poland that has the short lead. And he's actually fighting up there with Longo for the lead, and now Longo puts a little distance between them. Sepping is moving up on the outside to challenge. Longo in front, Sepping is second, Kaldowski is third, and right now Rich Kenah is struggling down the home straightaway, and he's about 5th. It's going to be Sepping to win the race. Longo will be second. Here comes Kenah. He's got a late kick. Kenah will finish third and move on. Well, if he's fast enough, he'll move on. The top 2, I keep forgetting there are 3 semifinals. The top 2 automatically qualify. Kenah, who appeared to be well beaten, turned it on in the final meters and did get third. Unofficially time of the race, 1:45.20.
Well, Sepping was second in the qualifying heats yesterday, running 1:46.01, so he drops his time a little bit. But Rich Kenah may have waited a little too long to start his kick, and that got him in trouble.
Well, the other thing was Sepping right here in the green, pushing his way out. When Sepping finally gets out, he gets out right in front of Rich Kenah. Kenah was just starting to make his move. Now he has to back off, and that was the telling point in the race. You saw Kenah look up in the air and roll his eyes, because now he's got a couple of minutes of hell as he waits to see if his time in third place will hold up. The guys coming in the later heats now know how fast they have to run, and they'll try and run faster than this heat ran.
So Kenah gets third and now must wait for the conclusion of the remaining 2 semifinal heats to see if he would move on. His time, Kenah's time, 1:45.99. He's with Ernie. And Kenah will have to watch, hoping that 1:45.99 is good enough to get him into the final. Rich talked about being in it for the medals. Here's definitely a man that's in it for the medal, the gold one at that. Wilson Kipketer of Denmark, born in Kenya, now representing Denmark, and that born in Kenya, of course, is significant because Kenyan runners dominate the distances generally, and the 800 specifically. And the Kipketer, 95 and 97 winner, now competing for Denmark.
Well, actually, this is a great break for Rich Kenah, because Kipketer is such a favorite. What he did last night is go out to the front and slow the pace down. If he goes out and tries to slow the pace down so that he can run easier, run a slower time, if he slows this whole race up, that's great for Rich Kenah, who's on the bubble right now.
There is a Kenyan in the field, and he is, again, one of the favorites. He's the Kenyan national champion, Kennedy Kimwetich.
And Kimwetich ran 1:43.03 last year. Last night, he ran 1:48.45. Again, a slow time because of the tactical pacing. And again, as you mentioned, Marty, if they'll keep this race slow, that's better for Rich Kenah.
Kimwetich is in lane 2 with Kipketer in lane 5. And there's another Kenyan born in here. Wilson Kerwa in lane 4 represents Finland, but he was born in Kenya. He's been living in Finland since 1996. And Rich Kenah is going to be a spectator for the next two, hoping his time in a third-place finish will get him into the final.
Well, many thought that Wilson Kipketer left for Denmark because he was not happy with things in Kenya, but actually he told me he just wanted a change in his life, and the marriage and all the other things happened afterwards.
And they're underway again. The top two automatically qualify, plus the next two fastest over the three semifinal heats. They're approaching the break point at the moment in lanes until this first turn.
Well, unfortunately, everyone saw Wilson's race last night, and they're running hard now to make sure he doesn't get to the front and slow it down.
Kimwidich is out there to take the early lead. Kimwidich in front, Kipketer. And now Saeed Guerna, who led from start to finish in his heat.
But what we've seen from the Moroccans in the 1500 and now in the 800, that they know they're strong runners. They know they have this shot. They don't like to play around with finishing kicks. It seems like their strategy is to make everyone run and give their best effort, not leave anything more to chance than they have to.
Jabir Saeed Guerna of Algeria, who ran a lifetime best, 1:45.65 in his first round race, leading start to finish, is trying the same tactic here. Kimwidich is second. Kipketer now moving up on the outside in third, and he's going to go right to the front. Wilson Kipketer now goes to the lead.
Well, the pace at 450.90, and now Wilson Kipketer again getting in front to control this race because he wants to make sure that he gets a qualifying mark. Top two, out of trouble, no pushing and shoving, as you see back in the back there with Nico Machaban in the white and red from Germany.
And also moving Norberto Tellez of Cuba in the red. Kipketer is in front. Saeed Guerna. Kimwidich is fading a little bit as Tellez comes on. It will be Kipketer to win. Tellez and Saeed Guerna second and third. Kimwidich gets fourth. The winning time, 1:44.87.
Well, that was a lot faster. That's not good news for Rich Kenah. Kipketer doing as he wanted to. Couple of surprises in that, and that was that Kimwidich faded, did not get an automatic qualifier, and then the Saeed Guerna, who went out and led early in the race, managed to get that second spot. Everything's up for grabs right here. They let Kipketer go. But I think that the Algerian was very smart. Towards the end of the race, he gets the pressure from Tellez. He doesn't respond right away. He lets Tellez think he's going to go by him, and then watch the last two steps. The Algerian takes two quick ones and gets ahead of him.
But Kipketer sending a message that he's going to be awfully tough in the final. And for Rich Kenah, it does not look good. Here's Kipketer cruising to victory, and Rich Kenah will not advance. Rich Kenah will not be able to advance as he learns now, seeing the time of the competitors there in one of the earlier heats here in the 800.
Well, Tom, when you look at his personal best, which is 1:45.23, he's going to have to drop that here as we move on and look toward the final. I talked to him in the hotel today, and he had been icing a hamstring, which is normal for 800-meter runners going through the season. But he said he felt confident, and he knew he'd have to get himself in a good position tonight to try and strike for the top two to make sure that he advances to the final.
Here's Japheth Kimutai of Kenya, still only 20 years old, but maybe the #1 runner in the world at 800 meters.
He was ranked #1 last year, and he's a problem because fast or slow, he will probably qualify, and that gives Brian Woodward a lot to shoot for. Johan Botha, also another big problem for Woodward.
Kimutai is in lane 5, Botha's in 6. Woodward is on the outside in lane 8. So Brian Woodward needs the race of his young career to make the final.
He's got a bit of a dilemma here. If the pace is fast and he tries to run fast, he might do the same thing he did last night where he felt tired because he ran too fast in the first 200. But if it's slow, he might get third in a slow time.
Underway in the final semifinal heat. Top two automatically advance. The next two fastest over the three semifinals. Here's the break.
Well, Marty, I talked about that exact thing to Woodward, and look at him now. He's taking it a bit easy. He didn't want to have to work too hard coming from lane 8, which is the same lane he had yesterday. Just want to get there and be in the mix next to the pack. And as we can see now, it looks like the tactics are beginning.
He's doing the opposite of what he did. That's why rounds are interesting. You get to experiment. They've already committed to running a slow race. Though now Woodward knows he has to be first and second, but frankly, he's got two guys that can beat him off a fast pace and also beat him off of a slow pace.
Kimutai leads with Schumann of Germany in second, then Nduimana of Burundi, and Johan Botha of South Africa, who beat Kipketer to win the indoor championships.
An amazing Kimutai trains on a dirt track in Eton, Kenya.
54 seconds for the first 400 meters, not fast. Woodward said he felt sluggish last night. Oh, he's gone
Woodward
down.
just fell. Woodward just fell. Woodward tripped. I don't know if he stepped on someone's foot or not, but he tripped and fell. So Woodward's chances have been taken out with that fall down the backstretch of the final lap. Kimutai continues to lead the race with Johan Botha of South Africa in second place. Nduimana of Burundi is third as they come to the home straightaway. And moving up is Buchner of Switzerland along the inside. Kimutai has the lead. Buchner of Switzerland is second. Here comes Schumann of Germany. Schumann of Germany takes second as Kimutai wins the race. And those two will automatically move on. Here's Brian Woodward, who fell down the backstretch and crosses the line in what would be, I'm sure, of giant disappointment for him.
I think well, we'll have to take a look at it. Big surprise there. Johan Botha, the defending indoor world champion, just faded in the final straightaway, and he was one of the guys that we thought would automatically qualify. Woodward, nobody is behind him at this point.
There
he ran up on somebody else, really.
Yeah, that's not strange in an 800-meter race where you have guys with the long and high back kicks, and he just simply connected spikes, and that was it.
The pace started to slow up, and the runner in white from Germany, well, it looked like the runner in white put his arm out first, as if he was going to try and move out. Well, we'll have to talk to Brian. He's the only one that can explain what happened in that split second. One more look. Looks as if the German put his arm out even onto Brian's chest.
And that is really unfortunate for Woodward.
Let's go to Ernie. Competitors in the 800 meters with Sepping in lane 4, Kipketer lane 5, Kimutai is in lane 6.
And I talked to Wilson Kipketer after his semifinal a couple of nights ago and asked him how he was feeling, his condition, and of course the malaria that happened to him a while back. And he still seems to be hesitant when he talks about his health, because in his mind he could have a relapse at any moment. So he's taking each day as it comes, enjoying the World Championships, knows he's the favorite, but he's still not convinced that he has shaken that malaria bug.
Battling not only malaria but a liver ailment last year. Kipketer, born in Kenya, moved to Denmark in 1990 to further his studies. Actually had a lot of scholarship offers from U.S. colleges, but turned them down. It wasn't a Danish citizen yet by the Atlanta Olympics, so he didn't compete, didn't want to run for Kenya, and couldn't represent Denmark because he was not yet a Danish citizen. But he is the two-time defending world champion.
Well, that was a sad thing that happened, because he was by far the dominant 800-meter runner in the world, and yet the Olympics went on without him.
It'll be interesting to see how the tactics unfold here. I asked him also how he would handle this race, if he would take the lead and try to control the race or sit back and let others do it, and he had no answer. He said he'll have to wait to see how things unfold in the first 200 meters.
Well, you found out that he really doesn't like to talk strategy. He doesn't like to brag about what he does. He's just a very quiet guy who gives you a lot of politically correct answers. But as you said, he can win from the front or the back. He may, in his mind, know he's going to take it if the pace is slow, but he also can wait and see if someone else will do that work.
We mentioned the young Kenyan Kimutai. There is another Kenyan in this field in lane 8. He is the Kenyan national champion, as a matter of fact, and that's 26-year-old Kennedy Kimwetich.
Well, even though he's 26 years old, we might not know how good he can be because he says he's only been racing for 1 year.
Race underway in the 800-meter final. They'll come around this first turn, and then they'll be able to break. And at the break, it's going to be Kimwetich, it looks like, that goes out.
And something to remember in World Championship and Olympic competition, there are no rabbits, and so these gentlemen are responsible for establishing their own pace.
Kimwetich ran a 45.25 at last year's Commonwealth Games, and suicidal pace, and he finished 8th. It looks like he might not have learned a lesson. He's going to try and run everybody off their feet.
Well, now Saeed Gerna has passed him to take the lead. Kimwetich second, Kip Couture, and there goes Sepping. And Sepping now into second place behind the Algerian Saeed Guerne.
Well, it's a somewhat reasonable 50 seconds for the first lap. That's still plenty fast.
Kip Couture now charges into third place. Saeed Guerne leads. Sepping is second. Kip Couture is third. Then the two Kenyans, Kimutai and Kimwetich. After that, the Italian Longo.
The third 200 here, one of the most important phases of the 800-meter run. And now watch Wilson Kipketer moving up in striking distance.
Sepping has the lead, but Kipketer is gaining with every stride. Saeed Guerne now back into third. Here they come, top of the home straightaway. Sepping has the lead. Kipketer moving up on his outside. Sepping trying to hold on. Kipketer gaining with every stride. Sepping and Kipketer. Sepping and Kipketer goes by. Kipketer has the lead. Here they come in the final meters, and it's a lead. Kipketer and Sepping came back on him very close. Maybe on the outside, Kipketer was able to get the edge.
And Wilson Kipketer is amazing. At the World Championship Finals, diving to the track, and he comes up with a smile. That is unbelievable.
Well, I think he knows he got pushed as hard as he's gotten pushed in his life. As you mentioned, Lewis, that third 200, they must have gone flying by the 600 because it looked like the last 50 yards were in slow motion. They were all so tired.
It looked like Kipketer had put Sepping away, and then Ezekiel Sepping came back on him. Here Sepping has the clear lead.
And Sepping knew that he'd have to take this thing out because Kipketer has great closing speed. Wilson trying to stay relaxed, pumping the arms. Sepping beginning to tie up, and they both lock up as they get to the finish line as Kipketer falls to the track.
Now it's a question of concentration and timing, not even so much strength or desire. They each know it's going to be so close. You have to know exactly when to start your lean. That's why there's those white lines on the track to judge the finish, and Kipketer just gets it.
Tight finish. Kipketer just out-leaning Sepping. Kipketer in 1:43.30, Sepping 1:43.32. And still to come, when we return to Seville, we'll see the women's 4.